Well, hey there, everybody. This is Justin Dyke from cartoonsmart.com, and I'm going to be learning Swift this week, and I thought it'd be sort of fun to give you guys some of the maybe prequel tutorials to the real tutorials that I'll be teaching on Swift, and I'm going to be kind of teaching a little bit as I learn, and maybe these will be a little bit more off the cuff, possibly a bit more fun as I get frustrated. I won't be teaching things as I'm learning it, but what I'll do is I'll try to wrap up my day by teaching a little bit of what I figured out during the day. So no, you don't actually get to hear me pull my hair out learning a new programming language. And you might be wondering, well, why would I want to learn from a guy that's simultaneously learning the same language? Well, I do have some experience with game programming. I wrote the Fantastic Worlds iOS Starter Kit, and this is the website where you can find some details on that, and this builds a very robust side-scrolling game or top-down viewed game, and kind of any number of other sort of simple arcade games. So I've done that, and prior to that, I wrote a book on Cocos 2D, and Cocos 2D was sort of a what came before Sprite Kit, and even got to share some time on the one of the new and noteworthy pages in the iBook store. Is one of the first iBooks that was dedicated to a programming language, and oddly enough, about a year and a half ago, I got a little email from Apple that said, "Can we feature your book at an upcoming expo?" And I never heard back after that. And I think it's because someone realized, wait, I don't think we should be showing off this Cocos 2D book when we have this our own game engine coming out called Sprite Kit. So anyway, that and of course I've been programming before that. So but here I am. I'm kind of like you guys. It's my first day with a new language, and I can basically mess up anything is what I've figured out. Okay, no matter where you're coming from. And so in some sense everybody sort of has a clean slate here. And let's go ahead and just open up a new Swift based Sprite Kit project. So I'm going to go over here, and of course I'm using Xcode 6. Just going to go to new project, and if I remember correctly, in previous versions of Xcode, this actually said Sprite Kit, but now it just says game. All right, that's a little bit vague, but if you recognize that icon from before, you'll have no trouble locating this is going to be a Sprite Kit based project. And here we go. We're going to just put in here, let's call this day one. All right, that's going to be my product name. And the language is going to be Swift as opposed to Objective-C. And we're going to go with Sprite Kit here. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Sprite Kit. It's the two S's. They sometimes confuse me. I think I recorded an entire intro tutorial a moment ago where I was saying Sprite Kit and it says Swift. All right, so we're just going to make this a universal project for now. Okay, so put it on the desktop with all the other junk that I've got. And let's go over here. You know what? I'm not a big fan of this spaceship after seeing it all day today. So let's go. I'm going to take some artwork that I drew up, and I'll replace it in there. So if you want to bring in some of your own artwork to work with, that works as well. What I discovered fairly recently is that if you have the same named PNG file, but you just have @2x in there, if you drop them both into your image assets catalog at the same time, watch what happens. Oh, isn't that amazing? Look at that. I put them both in there, and they're 1x and 2x slots. And actually, I shouldn't take full credit for that, because somebody was nice enough to email that little note to me. So to the student that I've forgotten who you were, thank you very much for pointing that out. It's doubled my productivity in terms of importing assets. And this is not really the name I think we should go with here. We'll just call this Destroyer. Okay, so simplify it a little bit. And when we refer to it code-wise, we're going to refer to it as Destroyer, or whatever name that we have inside of here. Okay, so let's head back to our game scene. No, I'm sorry, our game scene.swift. And if we were to build this right now, we could just kind of take a look at what it does. and we'll break apart some of this code and kind of put it back together. Hey, look at that. It says day 1 right there. Who would have thought? All right, so we're just building this in the simulator, which is really not a great test environment. If you can test on your phone, I'd always recommend it, but you know, when you're just getting started here, it's probably fine to do that. You're not making a very complex scene, and you'll see that the frame rate is actually at about 60 frames per second. So, okay, all it's doing is putting spinning spaceships on there. This is what I thought, or what I set out to do today, was, all right, I want to create a separate class, all right, that would be the spaceship or whatever art that we're going to be using, and from that point on, I'll call it a success. Okay, I'll do something inside of here, but that won't be a big deal as long as I can just create a separate class. So what's happening right now is you're creating those spaceships at runtime, but we'll do some of that work inside of a separate class. And let's set about doing that. So we're going to go over here and let's create new file. And here we go, Swift file. Click on next. We'll just call this, how about Destroyer, because that's the name of the artwork that we'll be using. Could have called it anything. Could be robot as well. All right, now one of the kind of things that I stumbled on early was I kept trying to do this. Okay, import. Well, I want to use that class, so I'm going to go over here and write import Destroyer. And I think I spent a good half an hour before I realized that, hey, maybe that's not something we do anymore. And it turns out that is correct. We don't actually have to go and import in our other classes. Okay, they're automatically accessible. Whew, isn't that nice to know early on? All right, so let's strip out some things here. Get rid of that. And what we'll do is we will get rid of, well, let's comment out some of this. And just by commenting it out, that at least gives us the option if we want to steal from some of that code later. And essentially, we're just going to be creating another SK Sprite node in our scene, but we'll be doing it via this class right here. So this is actually going to end up being a subclass of SK Sprite node, which means that we can. It is a sprite node, but we can extend it and do some special things to it all on our own. What we actually end up doing with it won't be that special, though. Okay, so we're going to type underneath our import foundation. We do need to import in Sprite Kit, so we're going to do import Sprite Kit. Then we write class, and we just repeat back Destroyer right here. And here's where we specify that it's going to be a subclass of SK Sprite node. And again, we don't do much more than this than just show an image, at least for now. All right, and now this should look somewhat familiar to some of you past programmers out there. We're going to write init, or essentially we're going to initialize this, and we're going to put in here image named and string. So we're going to initialize this with a string, and we're going to pass in there just the image that we're going to use to show something, anything, whatever it is, whatever image we want to pull out of here. That's what will end up getting shown in here, and then we're going to put in let, and we'll call this image texture is going to equal sk texture or Sprite Kit texture, and this is asking for image named, and we'll give it the image that we've passed in. Okay, and I keep wanting to put that semicolon after that, but no, I don't have to. All right, then we're just going to write super init texture, and then we do colon image texture. So we're going to put in here a few more things that This Sprite Kit node wants color. We don't need to give it any color. Size. This is going to be the image texture dot size, and I believe the only thing it cares about now is, yes, this required initializer and coder must be blah, 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 blah. All right, just go over here, fix it. If only everything was that simple. And there we go. So it put in this line right here, which I'm just going to move up there to the top, and for no other reason really than my project earlier today had it at the top. But apparently we have to put that in now. Okay, I haven't Googled enough about it to tell you exactly why, but this is enough to be able to use this class in our GameScene.Swift and set up a destroyer object or instance and pass into it an image texture, which mostly via this line right here shows us that our Sprite Kit node has a graphic. Okay, and by the way, we're going to see this a ton as we explore Swift. Let just means that you could almost think of this as a var, and you could get away with putting var right there. Let just means that this image texture is not going to change. Okay, so if we needed this to change at some point, then we would put in there var. But let, it's like a constant. Okay, we're not gonna mess with it again after this. Okay, we might still use that image texture as we did in this line right here, but it's this part of it. We're not gonna hot swap in another texture. Okay, so go back over here to game scene, and let's see. Let's declare some variables that we can use throughout any of the functions in here. And the first one will be, let's just call this variable increment, and I'm going to set this to be 0. We'll end up using that inside of our touch method. So every time we touch down, what we'll do is we'll add a little bit to that increment. And then the other one will be our var. Let's call this destroyer node. Okay, and we're gonna do this right here. Okay, so we're not actually creating it. Okay, we're essentially doing something like this, just saying that it's going to be nil right now, and that's what that question mark afterwards is kind of implying. It's saying that it's optional, and for right now, it's okay to be uninitialized or nil. And of course, the next thing that we're going to do here is actually make it equal to something and add it into the scene, and we'll do that in our did move to view statement. So we're going to put in here destroyer node, and of course you'll notice that as soon as I start typing that, it knows what I'm referring to. Okay, so that's always a good sign. And we're going to say equals destroyer. All right, so that's the class name, and then in here is inside these parentheses is going to be what is asked of it back over here. All right, so essentially just wants that our image named. Okay, so if we had more than one parameter inside of here, image named with location, int something or CG point, then we would actually have to give it 2 parameters. But in this case, I just need to give it the 1. I have noticed saving is a little bit helpful to get rid of these kind of half-transparent errors. And all right, so so let's do that. So we're going to put in here image named, and another good sign is that if you see, it auto fill in what you expect. Okay, and then from here, we're just going to repeat back the name of it, the graphic in the image assets catalog, so just destroyer. All right, and maybe I should have called that something like destroyer art, just so it's a little clear that it's different than the class name. But the quotations are also a sign that is a literal string. And all right, now this was an interesting one to me, and I'm not even positive I totally got this right, but I believe we have to put an exclamation point after this, basically saying that you're going to unwrap the value of this possibly optional object or variable, and you're going to position it. Okay, so you're going to put over here CG point make. Somehow that survived. Made its way into this new language. At least I think it did. And we'll just set this to 300 by 300. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll do 300 by 200, just so there's a little difference. And you know what's odd actually about this is that these must be optional, because in my notes from earlier I didn't have X and Y there. But with so many different new options in this concise, safe, new language, I would imagine that, yeah, that probably is something that is optional. Okay, and then we're just going to add our child, and there we go. It's just, I can't tell you how many of those I put in today that are all unnecessary. All right, so add child, destroyer node. It didn't, oh, here we go. This is the problem right here. And extraneous argument. Well, now you tell me. Okay, well, all right. Thanks. I appreciate that. I really do. A little late. All right, now I think if we publish this, or build this, we should see by a little bit of artwork. And you know what? Before we do that, let's go ahead and make this a landscape left and right only project. Hey, there it is. Hey, it doesn't look like it's at 200, does it? Well, there's one way to be sure. Okay, well that moved it up, so that's a good sign. Yeah, maybe I'm just not used to all these new dimensions. Okay, so that's that works. And now let's do one other thing. Let's just move this guy around every time we touch down. Okay, so what we'll do is say increment plus equals. We'll just write increment plus plus increment. Okay, so it should add 1 to itself every time we touch down. And then what we'll do is we'll just move the position around a little bit. So we'll take some of this code that we had from before, equals, and make this be well, again, in my notes I had CG point instead of CG point make. So let's see. We'll try this then. All right. So X. Well, it's suggesting that we put in the X and the Y this time. So let's go with it. We're going to give it the destroyer node its same position on the X-axis, but plus an amount based on our new increment value. Okay. So the first time we touch down this, it should equal 1. And then the next time it should equal 2 and 3 and so on for every touch. And to kind of move it a little bit more than just 1 or 2 or 3 pixels at a time, what we'll do is we'll put in here increment, and let me make sure you can see all this on one line, increment multiplied by 10. Okay, why not? And this was actually a stumbling point for me too today, so I thought it'd be a good idea to include this in the video as well. It's such a stupid thing too. I just had this. Okay, and I didn't like that. I had to make sure it was a float value. Okay, and then for the Y position, we're just going to take the current position dot Y. Okay, so that means essentially we're not changing it on the Y at all. And then just to kind of be sure that I include this, let's spit out something in the output window. So we'll say number of ships is, and of course you guys are probably all, if you are familiar with any of my past tutorials or Objective-C at all, you're used to seeing an NS log statement there. Well, no more. This is a little bit of a pleasant change. Previously, you'd have to do something like this, and then that value would get replaced with variable over here, right? And then you close it off, and that lent itself to, I don't know. Well, for example, what if you had two of them? Okay, so you'd have to do two like that, and then two at the end of it. So here's our int, things like that, and I don't know. Just wasn't that great. So it is nice to see that there's a bit of a change here, and we get to put the variable right in with the whatever we're printing out here. So number of ships is, and we could just take this same value right here. Okay. Point is, though, you put it in parentheses. Okay, so whatever that is, we're just going to throw it right in there, and then we get to close that quote off. And yes, you don't have to put that in front of there. Okay, whoops. And now, and hey, you know what? You don't have to put that semicolon either. Told you I was going to do that a lot. I think we can test this. So let's give it a shot. Open it up in the iPhone Sates, and I'll press down. Okay, so I'm just pressing anywhere down here, and you'll see the number of ships. Oh, I put ships in here. No. Oh gee, am I working off of my previous project with the spaceship? All right, let's try that one more time. Number of destroyers is, and actually there's not even that. It's not even the number of destroyers. It's just a number. Okay, so you can see obviously that we are moving it at a larger increment every time. Okay, so really I should just put in here the increment. We are moving the destroyer is, there we go. But I think you guys have already gotten the point. So we're just moving a little bit there, just 10 pixels, now 20, or I should say points, not pixels, 30 points, 40 points, 50, and so on. And you can see that the jumps get bigger and bigger as you go on. And so long, destroyer. We will maybe possibly see you again, but there you go. Now you can see that you've done something. You've brought in here a separate class, and tomorrow is a new day. Don't worry about learning anything else for today. Just you got it. That's plenty to work on for right now, and I will see you on the next video.